What's going on, my dudes? Chensleo11 here, and welcome back to another episode in the A to Z series. In today's episode, we are playing Jinx, a really powerful late game ADC hyper carry, and I think she's a lot of fun. And I think she's actually really good if you are starting out playing ADC and League of Legends in general, because I think she's really easy to play, has a lot of AoE team fight damage, and her kit is quite easy to understand. So, as always, guys, if you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. We are going through every single champion in League of Legends and making a beginner's guide on each of them. All right, let's get on to Jinx. I think she's really fun. As you see here, we're going to start, obviously, Doran's Blade, one pot, and obviously take heal whenever you play ADC. And as with always with these videos, the main purpose of the videos is to go through the champion's abilities, the runes, and the build. And we're going to get started straight away with the runes. And there is a couple options you can go with Jinx. I have tried both quite extensively, and I think I have a preferred, and I'll throw it up on the screen now. So what I like to run is Conqueror as my main rune, and then Presence of Mind, Bloodline, Coup de Grace, and then secondary will be Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter. And then you go the attack speed, flex with Adaptive Force and Armor. You can also take Lethal Tempo. I like the Conqueror for the 1v1 aspect of Jinx. I find myself, especially in solo queue and whatnot, playing a lot of having a lot of times where you have to 1v1 champions with your minigun form with your Q. So I personally prefer Conqueror, but Lethal Tempo is obviously really good as well, and that's up to personal choice. Lethal Tempo gives you more attack speed, but Conqueror gives you that lifesteal that's really critical of winning those 1v1 fights. In today's game, we have a center support, and we're up against an Aphelios Pyke. So a little bit of an interesting matchup. Aphelios is not the strongest early, but neither is Jinx. But Pyke can be a real menace if he can land the hooks on you. So you have to be careful with that. And make sure you don't get hooked into Aphelios, because then he can stun you, make a really easy Pyke setup there with his stun and then whatnot. And then as always, you want to make sure you know or are aware of the enemy jungler. Just in case you need to be aware of early ganks and whatnot. So instead of getting caught with a quick Pyke Q, but that's fine. We are going to go on to the build. So for me personally, I like Kraken Slayer first. And then I'll go to the Berserker Greaves. And then we'll go Rapid Fire Cannon. Runaan's Hurricane rather. The reason why Runaan's Hurricane is absolutely amazing is because you get the small bolts. That becomes really effective later on in the game when you're using your rockets in the team fights to do massive AoE damage, and you get the mini rockets. Absolutely busted, guys. So make sure we're picking up Runaan's Hurricane second, and then after that you can go Infinity Edge, and then it's all game dependent. Maybe a GA, nice double stun on the center there. Not going to capitalize though. We're trying to farm up early. Jinx early is a little bit hit and miss. You can get the better of people with your minigun as it stacks up, and we'll go through the abilities in a moment, but really, the goal of Jinx is to scale into the late game. Is to get a few items. 2 items plus boots is where you start to feel like you've come online. But before that, you're a little bit weak. You're not like a Lucian or a Draven or MF who can boss early, or even Ashe. You need to be aware that you're not the strongest early. So as you can see here, Senna and I are just trying to hold the wave in a general, like, our side of the map. If you don't know how to do that, try not to auto-attack as much as possible. Like, you don't have to auto-attack all the time, the minions, what I'm doing here. But if the enemy ADC is always hard-pushing, if they're always auto-attacking, then feel free to kind of match them, right? So if you don't match them, you'll just get a big wave under your tower. And if you're not good at farming under tower, you'll miss minions. And as you can see, I'm terrible at farming under tower. But yeah, as I said, these videos, the gameplay isn't the most important thing. It's just basically a guide to have on the screen while we go through the champion's abilities. So I hope you enjoy. So we're going to get started on the abilities. And we're going to start with Jinx's passive. Very, very easy to understand. Passive, it's called Get Excited. Whenever Jinx kills, let's have a look what Pyke's doing here. He hits the center. We'll get to the Get Excited in a moment because there's a bit of a skirmish going on here. So I get stunned by the Pyke, and I'm focusing the Pyke. I probably should turn on the Aphelios, but I know he's low. The reason being is because Pyke's passive, and if you don't know, he can just regain a lot of his health. Fortunately, center lands a nice stun, and we end up going pretty well for the trade. We end up going positive. See what I mean? Look at Pyke's health. So focusing the Pyke was probably a mistake for myself, but that's okay. No harm done. The Aphelios is low. Our jungler is nearby, so we can kind of force fights. Because if things start to get hairy, we know we can rely on the jungler to come in. So we're going to get stunned, unfortunately. And there's what I mean, the setup. We're going to get stunned, followed by the root from the Aphelios. So we need to be careful with that combo. And you can see I had to burn both my summoners, I think, there. And that's what I mean. You need to be careful of your positioning. And that's with every ADC, so you don't get done with a stun. We're going to die. Aphelios flashes forward, but we get him with our traps, and that allows Viego to come in. So we end up getting a free assist. We proc our passive, which we are going to go through, I promise. You can see there, we get excited. And now we're just going to clean up there. So not the greatest start to the lane, but we end up getting a free assist. The Viego gets a free kill. And we got a nice... hopefully we're going to back here. I'm a bit sketching out here about how much health I got. So we're going to explain Get Excited. So whenever Jinx, you saw it there, whenever Jinx gets a... so whenever she kills an enemy or gets like a takedown, so it's an assist as well. And also a epic monster, a turret, and an inhibitor, I think, as well. Jinx gains the Get Excited buff, which gives her 175% movement speed, bonus movement speed. This decays over 6 seconds, and it also gives you 15% bonus attack speed. So this is why Jinx in the late game can absolutely demolish team fights, because you get your Get Excited proc off at the start of the team fight, and then you could just go nuts. You can start going through the whole enemy team with your rockets, depending on if they're grouped, or minigun if you're trying to 1v1 an opponent, and just chew through enemies, and even towers if you get the bonus attack speed against towers. The movement speed is great for repositioning and also escaping if you are low, and repositioning in those team fights. So really, really good passive. Very simple to understand, and you'll notice, you'll feel it very much so when you play Jinx a lot, and you'll feel the bonus movement speed and the noise it makes. You'll become aware of that, those cues. That means that the passive's gone off. So just trying to poke the Pyke with my rockets. Again, remember, damage on Pyke isn't the best because he can heal it. But if he's sitting low, we might be able to try and poke him out with our W and get a cheeky kill for ourselves. So anyway, that is the queue. So we did back and we got a pickaxe. And one thing I like to do a lot when I play ADC, and this is with every single lane, not so much the jungle, but it's also important to know with the jungle, is to just push tab and have a look at your items versus the enemy ADC. Because if you have more items than them, more levels, you will win the 1v1. Even if that champion is, quote, better in the early game or whatnot, if you have more items than them, like a big item power spike, like a pickaxe versus no pickaxe, you will demolish them in a 1v1. So make sure you're aware of that, and try and understand when you're backing and whatnot, so you know when to make advantage of that. So if you kill the enemy ADC, but then you don't back and they come back, they're going to have an item advantage on you, even though you killed them, because you have not spent your gold. So make sure you're aware of items and making sure you keep track of that, especially if you're new to the game. It's really important. And once you play a lot of the game and you understand what all the items do and like how much damage they give and whatnot, it'll make more sense and it'll become easier and easier. But just get into the habit of doing that early when you start playing. So we're going to move on to the Q. The Q is called Switcheroo. It's a little bit of an interesting ability on Jinx. Basically, Jinx toggles between two different guns. Now, these guns change your auto attack, okay? So most of the time you see me right now, I'm using the minigun, and you can see it's the pink minigun. It's called Pow Pow. And each of these basic attacks or guns have a different passive. So when in Pow Pow or the minigun form, every time you attack, Jinx stacks up something called Revved Up, okay? So the stacks last for 2.5 seconds, and they stack up to 3 times, granting bonus attack speed. And you can see the stack counting up on just above my hotbar there. So we have 3, and you can see when we run out of no auto attacks, it counts down back to the one before. So it goes 3 to 2 to 1. All right. So that's basically what the Pow Pow passive does. Let's have a look at this team fight. What's going on? Or this little skirmish with the jungle gank. Senna gets the kill, but that's okay. We get the Get Excited proc there. You see that burst of movement speed. We're just trying to get another kill here. We get another assist, but that's okay. Ideally, I want to be grabbing the kills, but it's fine because we are going to scale pretty hard once we get our items. And we hit level 6, and right now we're thinking about backing. I think I saw the jungler in the bush as well. There he is. Okay, so we're going to get a 2v1 here, looks like. So the Pantheon's coming down, and it looks like the Diana's roamed. So I'm looking pretty doomed. And I think Akali's TPing as well, so we see how this goes. We're going to get a collapsed upon on the Diana. We're going to do as much damage as we can, but Diana's absolutely going to burst us out. Let's see if Akali can make something happen. Nice ultimate. There gets the double knock on the ultimate, but she's going to... Oh, she trades 2 for 2. So Akali TPing was very worth, especially for her because she ended up getting 600 gold. And we get, I think we got another couple of assists there, so not too bad for us either. So we end up getting another major component to our Kraken Slayer. So we're looking okay. We're looking okay. Unfortunate death there. We're 0-1-5, 5 assists at 10 minutes. Could be a little bit better, but it's not too bad. Some of the assists could have been kills, but that's fine. We're still doing very well. And currently we are ahead of the Aphelios. Equal farm, but we have 5 assists. And same amount of turret plates, right? So we haven't got a plate each, so we know we have more gold than them. We look at our items. We have more items. Pickaxe, plus that, I don't know what it's called. It looks like a quiver with the arrows in it. I think it gives attack speed and damage. Attack damage. We have more damage than them. So we know we can win the 1v1 against the Aphelios. Unfortunately, Pyke roamed and got our jungler. So you have to be aware of that, especially against the Pyke who's going to rush Mobies to ping him missing if he does so. That way your team doesn't suffer. So right now we should be trying to put a bit pressure on the Aphelios, but the Pyke has returned. But anyway, we're going to finish explaining the Q. So as you stack up on the minigun, you gain attack speed, okay? So it stacks up to 3 times. Now, this is your main damage source when you're trying to 1v1 someone. And you're in close range with them. And you can see there, I switched to my other form, which is the rocket launcher. But the reason why I switched in that situation was for the increased range, okay? So let's explain the rocket launcher. So you can see there the massive range the rocket launcher has. So the rocket launcher is called Fishbones. Now, Fishbones costs mana to fire. So be aware of that. Every time you shoot an auto attack, it costs you mana. And your mana can run out really quickly if you're not paying attention as well. So you need to be aware and keep an eye on your mana bar when you're using your rocket launcher or your Fishbones. Unfortunately, we missed the auto attack there. Should have turned on attack champions only. But that's okay. Senna getting hooked by the Pyke, but this is fine. We're putting nice pressure on their tower. We're farming up 71 farm at almost 12 minutes, which is actually pretty good for me if you follow the series. Typically farm like crap. But anyway, remember it costs mana to fire off your rocket launcher. It also does an on-hit damage, which does 110 of your AD, so it does more damage. But you only get... you lose 10% of your bonus attack speed, okay? So when you're attacking one target, it's actually beneficial for you to switch... Viego popping off. It's actually beneficial for you to switch to your... getting greedy here for the tower plate. And this might cost me a death. Let's have a look. See if the Pyke can kill us. The Viego might be able to stun me, and we end up getting a nice chunk damage on the Pyke. We're going to back ourselves. So it's actually better in a 1v1 to use your minigun. Okay, so the minigun gives you bonus attack speed, whereas the rocket launcher gives you more damage per shot, but you're attacking slower and it's costing you mana. The other big benefit of the rocket launcher is it gives you increased range. Okay, so this range is actually really, really helpful at the beginning of team fights. Unfortunately, I missed my ultimate there. We'll get through that in a moment. It's really, really good at the beginning of team fights, and it's really good for chasing targets that are fleeing. In the case where I picked off I think it was the Aphelios, I used my rockets and it was allowed me to get the kill just on the tip of my auto attack range, just the tip. So it's really important to know when to use the minigun and the rocket. And even I still make mistakes. So sometimes I'll be switching into the rocket when someone is really close to me, when obviously the minigun is probably your best bet. Not too much I can do for the Viego here as a squishy ADC against 4 of them. So their whole team has rotated down, unfortunately for us. But we're going to just drop a ward here and try and play safe. And we're going to try and let Aphelios push into us so we can farm a bit safely. But we have to be aware that the whole enemy team is down here and just be patient. Now, one last thing about the Q, the Fishbones, so the rocket launcher. The rocket launcher does AoE damage, okay? This is why in team fights, Jinx is a disgusting hyper carry. And you can see on those minions there, I like to use it as well to clear out the back wave because it absolutely demolishes the back wave. It's super, super good for destroying waves. And it's super great at the beginning of team fights when everyone's bunched up and you can get those nice auto attacks on targets in the middle of the group where it will do AoE damage. And now bear in mind, the rocket can crit. And the reason why it's excellent with Runan's Hurricane is that the rocket produces mini rockets. And they all take damage as well, right? They also do AoE damage. So it's really, really effective in doing AoE damage. That's why Jinx is one of the best team fighting hyper carries in the game. The team fighting ability is absolutely insane. And her passive is great for it too. And her E. Absolutely insane team fighting ability. So that's all I want to say about the Q. A little bit, it's very simple ability. You just basically switch between your 2 guns, but it's knowing when to use which gun is important. Kind of like Aphelios, right? He has multiple guns. So in this situation, let's say I was trying to fight the Pike, I would be switching into my rocket to begin with, so I can get auto attack him from distance, and then as I move in closer to him, I'll switch to the minigun form because it produces more DPS, more straight line DPS. So we're going to see if we can. So then I switch to my rocket to get the last auto attack on the Pike there as he flees because of the increased range. Unfortunately, we get picked off by the Roam of the Pantheon, but we get another assist. Viego is popping off this game, thankfully. Turns into the Pantheon and gets the stun. Absolutely murders the bot lane. So we ended up getting a kill. We end up having our Kraken Slay. We have our boots, and we're starting to get to the Runes Hurricane. That's when Jinx starts to feel insane. So yeah, guys. Beginning of team fights, start off with your rocket launcher, get a few auto attacks in, and then switch to your minigun when you're trying to focus one target down. The next ability we're going to go through is Zap, which is Jinx's W. Super easy ability to use. Jinx fires a shock blast in a target direction that does physical damage. At the first enemy it hits, it slows them and it reveals them. Okay, so the slow goes up to 70% when it's max level. I believe it is your second max, Q being your first max. Forgot to mention that. So the slow goes up to 70% when fully maxed, and it does a pretty significant chunk of damage. And I like to weave it in after the rocket if they are fleeing. And I like to use it to check bushes and whatnot as well. And this is what I mean by the rocket on the backline wave. You can see it just decimates waves. So yeah. Absolutely insane ability, the Zap as well, because the damage, the ability to check bushes, and it has an absolutely insane range. I'll put a little bit of a video on the top left showing you what the ability does as well, as I do with all these videos. But I really like the W, very easy to use. Getting used to the range will take a few games because it is quite long, but once you get that down, it's very good. I like to weave it in between autos, especially in the early game, to get a lot of damage, but bear in mind it costs a little bit of mana. Alright, so in the game here, what we're doing, we're just, again, still trying to farm up, make sure we're not missing the cannons on the tower. We are doing well. Senna taxing me a minion there, but that's fine. We're actually doing not too bad on farm, sitting at about nearly 6.5 per minute, which is not too bad. Should be obviously a little bit better, but that's okay for right now. We do have a lot of gold from kills and assists, so we are doing very well. I'd like to get onto the Aphelios and just see what kind of item advantage we have on him. So you can see there against the Pike, I stuck with the minigun, and then I will change to the rocket as he flees. And I hope that's clear, and that's basically all I want to say about the Jinx, the auto attacks. Alright, so next we're going to explain the E. Jinx's Flame Chompers. A very, very cool ability. Basically, Jinx throws little traps on the ground. So she tosses out 3 Chompers at a target location. They land on the ground. Let's have a look at this Jinx. That's what I mean, the auto attack, then followed by the Zap is what I like to do for a nice combo to do some poke damage. And then yeah, look at the range and the auto attacks. Sorry, we'll get back to the Chompers in a minute. This Pike's trolling a little bit. But yeah, the Chompers go on the ground, and after 0. They make a line, and I would have used them. I'll put them on the screen as well. I would have used them throughout the game. But after a while, they explode and they do magic damage. Okay, so that isn't the main reason for using the Chompers. The best reason to use the Chompers is for its CC. So if an enemy champion encounters the Chompers, and I'll see it here, look what will happen with the Pantheon. See how he gets rooted as he walks into the Chomper? So he gets rooted. Oh, I get demolished by a Pike ult, but that's fine. So when he walked into the Chompers, he got rooted there, and then he took the full damage of the Chompers. But that root is absolutely insane. So what you can actually do is kind of like we can do with Caitlyn, is chain the Chompers with other CC. So in this game, when we have a Senna who can land her pull her CC, that cloud that goes out and stuns people or roots them, you can put the Chompers directly on top of the target. When they come out of that CC, they get instantly hit with the Chompers, locking them down for a long time, allowing to do an absolute shitload of DPS to that target. So the Chompers, they do magic damage, but their main purpose, in my opinion, is obviously their CC that they provide, and they are really good at self-peeling too, especially if you get that. If you get your get excited passive off, you throw the Chompers behind you, and they're running at you, they can't catch you because you're so fast, and they'll just run into your Chompers and get rooted, and then you can get away. Maybe getting a few auto attacks on them. So you can see here we're going onto the Garen. I'm staying at my max range. That's why I was using my rocket, and let's see what we can do here. So throw the Chompers out. They're the Chompers there on the ground now. So you can see after a while they will explode. There's that explosion there, and they do AoE magic damage. And just be aware that if a champion walks into the Chompers, they only take the damage from the one Chopper explode, not all 3. So very, very good ability. And what I said earlier about how this is really good in team fights is you can just throw them in team fights and just root people without them paying attention and just demolish them. So you can see here, So here I probably could be using my minigun, but I'm just staying at max distance to be safe. We get our Get Excited proc. We use our movement speed to close in on the Pyke, who is also actually pretty fast. And unfortunately, we don't get him. I'm looking around, looking if I'm going to use my ultimate, but I don't think I get it off. But that's all right. And we're going to focus on this tower. And again, obviously, when you're attacking towers, use your minigun. The passive attack speed is super, super good. So that is the E, guys. Very, very simple. The Chompers is really, really good in team fights, locking people down, good self-pill. The damage is not negligible, but it isn't the main reason why we use this ability. So the next ability, which is why I think Jinx is another reason why Jinx is really good for beginners. She has an ultimate that's really fun to use. Okay, it's called Super Mega Death Rocket. Essentially, Jinx fires off a massive rocket in a target location. It grants sight as the rocket travels along the map. And then when it hits someone, it explodes, doing an absolute shitload of damage. Now, there's a few things that you might not know about this ultimate. The rocket does more damage depending on how low the enemy champion is. So you want to use it against someone who is a low health target. If you shoot it into someone who has full health, it's going to do less damage. But that also scales with the distance it traveled. Okay, so look at this beautiful kiting, auto-attacking using my minigun there because I can chase down the Pantheon. He had no chance there. Absolutely murdered him. So again, using our minigun on the Garen. We're trying to be aware because we don't want to get collapsed upon again 2 assassins in that bush. So we're playing a little bit safe. And there's the rocket there, and we use it to get the kill. Perfect segue into explaining this ability. So there was the ultimate there. It's a really sick ultimate. It's super easy to use. We're getting hammered with CC here against the Philios and the Pyke. But yeah, you can see the damage we're doing now. Using our rocket at max range. Demolishing champions. So it fires the rocket, and remember, it scales with distance traveled. We're going to collect the dragon here while we're here. So you want to try and hit champions that are low health, and remember, the further it travels, the more damage it does. So the distance travel is something you don't have to quite think about. It's nice to know, but sometimes you just need to use the ultimate because there's a low health target and you want to snipe them. It's super good if you got vision if someone's backing in a bush. I don't know if it's in this game, but one of the games there was like a Vayne backing in a bush, and I just sniped her from base because she was backing in a ward, and I got a free kill in base, and I didn't even move, collected the 300 gold, and then used it to buy my next item. So again, really, really awesome ability. Now there's also some other parts of this ultimate. So when the ultimate hits the target, it does obviously full damage, but it also does AoE damage, okay? Now each of the targets that take the AoE damage also get damage that scales on their missing health, okay? So if you hit a whole group of low health targets, they're all going to die and take massive damage on their on that AoE explosion. That also scales with how much missing health they have. So super, super good ability. It also does damage, like the explosion does damage to epic monsters, but it's capped at 800, I believe, which is a recent patch. But yeah, guys, super fun ability to use. I like using it to just finish off fights. Sometimes I use it in 1v1s when the enemy champion is getting low and I just want to burst them out because they're stunned with my Chompers or something like that. But yeah, super fun. So that's all of Jinx's abilities. You can see here, usually when I hit level 9, I think I forgot to do, I'm level 12 now, I like to switch to the blue trinket, which just allows you to place a ward from a more safe place instead of walking up to the bush, face checking it and get absolutely clapped by the enemy assassins. But yeah. Here we go. Now we've got the Ruinous Hurricane. So you can see the mini rockets going off, also doing AoE damage. So you can absolutely decimate team fights now. So now this is a good time. You can see they're all grouped up to just begin with rockets, right? Because if we can hit one rocket, you do a lot of damage. You actually do a lot of damage to the Squishy's backline because of the AoE. So that's how you want to open up team fights. And then when it starts to turn into like, you know, the team fights happening and you can change targets. There you go. There's that long range. Look how much damage that Philios just took. Ready? Diana, can we see? Look how much damage this is doing from range. This is just free damage for me because I'm out of range. And then when you get a nice target to auto-attack, like the Garen there, I just switch the minigun so I can increase my DPS. Okay? There's the Chompers in the team fight. Throw them out, you'll get some free stuns. So that's basically how you play Jinx, guys. You need to scale with her. You need to get your items. And once you do, you just have fun with team fights. And this is a quite fun game where everyone's grouping. Really fun for me because I can just stun like that and just do an absolute crap load of damage. And you can see I'm going to chase the Aphelios. So I should be switching to my minigun. Do I do it? I do it. Excellent. Good job. Me. And then we're going to chase after this Garen. Remember, use your W when chasing. I don't know if I mentioned this. It does give a slow I use it to begin trades when I'm trying to chase down. And we force the Diana to flash there. Because if she took that W, if she didn't have flash, she would have been dead. Because she gets slowed, right? So, Jinx, she's very mobile. She has a lot of movement speed in her kit with a passive. But she has a lot of CC because of her chompers and her slow she can apply with her W. So that's why I really think she's excellent for new players. Ideally, ADCs with a bit more mobility are more friendly to newer players who aren't used to being the absolute main target of the enemy assassins, which is a little bit hard to get used to at first, especially if you're used to playing tanks, because everyone will just go absolute nuts trying to kill you. Akali and Diana having a little chat in the bush there. So we're going to see what we can do. Double auto attack followed by W. But yeah, super forgiving, excellent team fights, super simple kit, fantastic ultimate. Nice recipe for a fun ADC for a beginner to play. So we've been through all the abilities. There's not much else I can say on the abilities. I think there's some other things I could mention, a little bit more advanced, like you know, like when to buy like certain items and that. And this is after you buy your Infinity Edge, which I think the next item we're going for, I believe, in this game, perhaps something else. But you need to just make sure you're trying to kit, and what I mean by kit is buy items that counter the enemy champions. If they have a lot of lifesteal and a lot of healing, like a Warwick, for example, or an Alawi, you want to get yourself an Executioner's Calling, right? GA is obviously a really good shout as well, because if you feel like you can 1v5 and carry team fights, having an extra life is absolutely superb. So you can see the pure potential of Jinx there. So we get collapsed on by the Garen, we drop the Chompers, he gets stunned or rooted, and then we follow it up with a slow. He can't do nothing to chase us. So we are going to take off this, take these, let's see what we do against the Pike here. Absolutely murdered him. Can we get him with the ultimate? Do we hit him? Oh, just miss. Probably would have killed him. The Akali might get him, but I think she missed out. And you can see there, be careful when using your rockets, because it absolutely hammers your mana. Your mana gets deleted, okay? But seriously, there's nothing better than the feeling of Jinx after you get Rinden's Hurricane. It's so fun to use your rockets, the mini rockets, and just delete waves. Stacking up your CS score, making yourself look good. So yes, we are going Infinity Edge next. That'll give us some more crit scaling and also give us more crit, which is again super good on a crit ADC like Jinx, who builds attack speed. So you want to be applying as many of those crits as you can, doing bonus damage. Remember, your rockets can crit. So right now, enemy team is looking like they're starting Dragon, but they I think they're going to bail from this one as the Akali and Viego join. The center is joining as well. Unfortunately, the Diana gets the Dragon. Let's see what we can do. Fortunately, we got no blasting cone to get over. So we're going to have to join the fight late. Looks like we're going to go straight to Diana with the rockets, with the max range rockets. Can we get it with a flash order? We can. We're going to switch to minigun form here. Go straight on the Pantheon. Ooh, we're going to finish him off. We're going to get excited. Akali's going to snag both of those. That CC was nasty, though. I think we're screwed here. Yep, we're done. Philios landed a sniper shot, so we cannot dodge that. I think we burnt our heal there. So a little bit of a hype team fight there. Getting excited for the flash forward for the Q on the Diana. And then Akali cleaning up, but we're getting caught with the Aphelios ultimate. But yeah, that was okay. We ended up, unfortunately, missing out on the Dragon. But we are really late into the game. And this is where Jinx comes alive. Once you start getting 3 items, now it's starting to be absolutely insane. You can see me here in the shop. Just having a look, what am I going to buy next? And I think I'll go with Lord Dominic's just so I can shred through Garen's armor because he's got a lot of armor. You can see why I hovered over Garen to explain why. There's a lot of different arguments. You could have gone GA here. You could have also gone the I think it was the rapid fire counter for the increased range to help with the initiation of the team fights at the beginning of the team fights for that long range auto attack. Just try what you feel is good. I think the League of Legends shop these days is actually really good for recommending next items. For me, I would definitely recommend the build that I showed at the beginning of the game for your core, like your Kraken Slayer and your Hurricane, and then and your boots, obviously, your Berserker Greaves, and then after that it's Infinity Edge, and then after that it's kind of like game dependent. But remember, if they have a lot of healing, maybe grab your Executioner's Calling early. If they have like a Mordekaiser and a Malzahar, maybe you have to pay the QSS tax, and what that means is you have to buy a QSS. You have to pay that $1,300 to get that item, so you can just get out of the CC that those two lock you down with. In this game, not too much CC to worry about a QSS, other than the Pantheon stun, really. So we're gonna just collecting waves as best we can. in terms of the gameplay and the macro decisions we're doing this game, we're just trying to group with our team as best we can. As with all ADCs, they're team reliant. You can't really just run in and just try and 1v5 unless you're super fed. And I'll try to give that a go in the next video, Kaiser. Subscribe if you want to see that video. It's coming out soon. But you'll see, even when really fed, you can absolutely just run your face into enemies and kill yourself. So we can go, we use a super death rocket. We fortunately miss everyone. We're going to go the rocket. And we should be switching to a minigun. We do switch to the minigun. We try to get Diana with our chompers to lock her down. We switch to the rocket. Senna's snagging the kill from us. We switch to the rocket as she goes out of range. So hopefully you can see on the screen what I'm doing with the Q to make sure you're maximizing your damage. You want to obviously use your Q and minigun when they're close and the rocket launcher when they're far away. Or if there's a lot of them grouped together, then you want to obviously use your rocket launcher to do AoE damage. Jinx, again, obviously destroys Baron and Dragons, so another good benefit. Look how much damage that W did. So we force out the flash and the heal from the Aphelios. That's actually really good. That W doing an absolute shitload of damage. It might have crit, I can't quite remember. Absolutely murdered the Aphelios. So don't sleep on the W damage as well, especially if they're out of range. And that's pretty much all I wanted to say, guys. Just in terms of the macro, what I'm doing in the game. As you can see here, I'm in the enemy jungle. A little bit risky, but I'm just taking as much farm away from their jungler as I can. And we're going to go back, hopefully, or probably grab this wave, shove in. Because we are sitting on 1,800 gold. So there is obviously a pretty decent buy at the shop if we back. I'm just going to use our rocket to absolutely clap that wave. Look at that wave, just get absolutely demolished. Yes, we are backing now. We have the Baron buff back, so we can go back into the action real quick. So we get our last Whisper, and we're going to get some extra crit there. So we're up to 75% crit. And absolutely demolished team fights, guys. Insane damage in team fights. So we're hopefully going to have a nice showcase of that coming up soon. Let's see what else I can say about the... I think I had something else to say about the Q. If I remember, I'll bring it up. Yeah, let's watch what's going on in the game here. So we're auto-attacking Diana at max range with our rockets. Hopefully we can rip a nice rocket here, kill off the Aphelios. Beautiful. You see the AoE damage onto the Diana there. You can see the range of this, the range of the auto attacks. This is where we can just take over fights, guys. I know I'm not getting the kills, but I'm absolutely destroying the damage output is insane. And I think I topped the damage charts in this game, maybe second only to the Viego. This would have been a great ultimate chance too against the Pike, but we ended up getting our Get Excited proc off the tower, running into the Pike with our bonus movement speed and slapping him with a rocket at max range. So absolutely demolished. 8, 4, and 21. A little bit of the assist king this game. It's okay. We ended up getting a lot of damage. Oh, God. Garen flashes on top of us. I think we went a bit too ham there. Yep. We took one tower shot, and he just Q-ulted us, and we died. Absolutely atrocious positioning from me. And again, ADC, doesn't matter how much damage your champion does. If you're dead, you can't do any damage. So you need to make sure your positioning is on point, because you will die. You are the main threat. Second only to maybe the APC or the mid laner, the ability power, especially in the late game, the ability power champions in the game. So make sure your positioning is on point. Diana and Akali cleaning up. Pretty good game. We ended up getting to the late game, so we had a nice showcase on Jinx's late game damage. But anyway, guys, if you have enjoyed the video, make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. And as I said, we are going through every champion. So if you like that, stick around, and we are doing Kaiser next. So another super late game fun ADC. A little bit more difficult to play, but I think you will enjoy. Remember, at the end of the day, it is nighttime. Take it easy.